So let's look at how AirDNA can help us work out the rate that we can charge for our property. I'm going to start by switching to AirDNA. So the URL for AirDNA is airdna.co. Let me just go back to the home page and I'll show you what to click to get started. So AirDNA contains data from every Airbnb listing that's live, every VRBO listing that's live, and any listings, whether it's for direct or channel listings that are connected to AirDNA via a compatible channel manager. So a channel manager like Logify or Guesty, for example, sends anonymized data into AirDNA to enhance the AirDNA experience. So this is the home page for AirDNA. You'll see the URL there is airdna.co. I have provided a link to AirDNA in the training, so you'll find it in the description of the course. So all you're going to do here is click on Get Started. And that will take you to the signing up page. And you have the choice of using an existing Google account to connect or just filling out the form. So I'm just going to show you filling out the form. I've already linked my Google account. So I'm just going to add my email address and create a password. And click sign up. I'm going to obviously have to agree to the terms and conditions. And then it's going to take me through a series of questions about my business. So it's just asking me what I'm going to be using the data for so it can assist me best. So I'm just going to click on host, the number of properties I have, what I want. So what I want is pricing advice for my listing. And now it's ready to go. It's just loading up. And if I click on begin your short-term rental journey, it will take me to the map. So I have two ways of using AirDNA. The first is just a very general way to select a market on the map. So if I select market United Kingdom, it will come up with a bunch of statistics for the United Kingdom. And depending on whether I subscribe or not, I can get more and more detailed data. So this is really good if you are just toying with the idea of buying a property and you want to look at where is best to buy. So you'll see here there are lots of areas in the United Kingdom that have got a score of 100. So these are some of the best places to actually invest in property at the moment. So that's that, but we're not going to do it that way. We are going to assume that you already have a property. That's why you're doing this course. And that you want to actually see the detail for your very specific market where your listing actually is. So the first thing we need to do is to connect a listing. So if I click on my listings, that will open the my listings page. Obviously I haven't imported anything in yet, so it doesn't have anything. It uses the Airbnb iCal to actually pull in all the information about your listing. If you don't have a listing yet, and you're not even sure if you want an Airbnb listing, it's still worth creating a listing in Airbnb making it live just for the purposes of this exercise and then switching it off again. So you can at least get access to all the really valuable data that AirDNA has about properties in your market. So if you're going to do that, if you don't already have a listing, you just need one photograph. You don't need to write long descriptions, just one photograph, tick all the boxes for the number of bedrooms and bathrooms and the amenities that you have, and pop in a base price of whatever you think is the ceiling price for your market, and then just put it live whilst you're going through this exercise, and please don't forget to turn it off again afterwards. So to get that iCal, I'm going to show you what you need to do now. So I'm just going to switch to Airbnb. So you can see I'm logged into Airbnb as a host, and I've switched to host. So I'm ready to go. I need to click first up here on calendar to open my properties calendar, and then click on the property that I'm interested in getting the iCal for. So you'll see that opens the sort of detailed calendar. Any second now, my pricing and availability is going to pop up here where the arrows are running. And what I want is availability. So I'm going to click on availability at the top there. I'm going to scroll to the bottom. And I'm going to click on Airbnb calendar export. So this will give me the iCal address for my property. So there it is. I'm just going to click copy and then go back to AirDNA and paste that in there. Now I'm not going to connect this listing because it's already connected to my real account. So what I'm going to do now, if you just bear with me, is switch to my actual AirDNA account. So here I am back in AirDNA, and I can see all my listings. So once you click connect listing, it will pull all this data through about your properties from AirDNA. Okay. You'll see it does some summarization of each property. The property we're actually going to use for this training is 2 Brickground. So I can see that it's brought in my number of bedrooms, my number of bathrooms, the number I sleep, and my hosting score. It's saying that I'm not using dynamic pricing on here. I'm not using the Airbnb dynamic pricing. And then it's given me some scores. So my future occupancy is 13%. My booked rate is $233. Don't worry that it's in dollars here. It will be in pounds when you actually look at the pricing that it's proposing. And my lead time, so that's the number of days in advance I'm booking, is 123. And then it gives me an overall performance score for that listing in my market, and I can see that it's 55, which means I'm just a bit higher than average in terms of me against my competition. So I'm going to go in to manage that listing and see a bit more detail about some of these numbers. So if I click on manage listing, that will open up that particular listing. And you'll see the first thing it does is it opens up its dynamic pricing, smart rates calendar. So those numbers are repeated here. And if I scroll down, you can see that for every day it gives, a bit too quick there. So as I was saying, for every day it gives a price. So it also tells you how it's worked that out. It weights the weekend, so you'll see the weekend prices are slightly higher than the midweek prices because demand is higher at the weekend. It will tell you what demand is like in your market based on the previous period. So we can see it's down 5%, and we can see that the lead time is also slightly shorter. And it proposes £143 for that particular night. So when using this to look at your kind of market rates, yes, it does a different rate for every single night. But what you really want to do when you're working out your low, mid and high rates, just for looking at the viability and profitability of the business, you want to be kind of taking a ballpark average. So we can see here that in December, a midweek price is around £138 and the weekend is around £150. Obviously it's going up the nearer we get to Christmas. And then we get a good idea of those kind of Christmas rates too. Because obviously you're not going to do pricing night by night in Airbnb or any of the other channels. You're just going to have your kind of low, medium and high and maybe peak week prices. And so what you want to do is take a look at these numbers and just kind of work out what looks like a sensible rate. So I would look here and say, well, a sensible rate for January is about £147 a night. And again, you know, as we get into March and we get towards Easter, it goes up again, and so on. You'll note that it's giving me blocked, available and booked. So I can see the difference between a blocked night, which is no income because we've blocked it out, and a booked date where we will have income. And it uses that data from your competitors to work out what their actual occupancy rates are, which you can never do just by looking that up in Airbnb, because you don't know when you're looking at your competitor's calendar whether those dates were blocked or booked. You just see a box with no price in it. So I'm just going to scroll back up to the top and show you a couple more things. So we've already discussed then that this is how we can kind of work out what the market rate is for our property based on our competitors. But it might be that you know that you've refurbished your property to a much higher standard than all of your local competition. And so you might want to price more aggressively. So if we look at the settings here, there's lots of things that you can tweak. So you can see here that we have used the balanced base rate. So this is kind of the average rate for the year for that property. This is the balanced rate. So this is kind of the straight down the middle of the comp set rate. If you know that you have really refurbished your property to a high standard and you're at the high end of your market, then you might want to use the aggressive rate, and it will just recalculate all of those prices slightly more aggressively, so slightly higher than the rest of your competition. If you know that your property could do with a lick of paint and maybe doesn't have some of the facilities of your competitors, you might want to price conservatively, or you might want to add your own custom price. The other thing you can do is you can set a minimum rate. So if you know what your cost of sale is, what you need to get just to cover the cost of that changeover, you might want to put that in as your minimum rate. That means that you will always get at least that amount for each night that is let, and it kind of gives you the opportunity to do one night stays if that's what you want to do. If you're a bit worried about the pricing coming out too high and you feel that there's a ceiling price for your market, then you can add the maximum rate, and again it will calculate all of those other prices based on that minimum and maximum. And if you're going to do 1 and 2 day bookings and you want to offer a discount to get the nights filled, you can add that discount too. I wouldn't recommend that. We just want to be making a profit. We don't want to be filling nights for the sake of it. So you can add those and change those figures and tweak those numbers. So I'll just show you what happens if I put aggressive and save changes. It will think about it. And when it's finished number crunching, we'll see those numbers have gone up slightly. So there you can see we've gone up to from 138 or whatever it was to 157. And we're over £200 at the weekends. So that's how you can tweak your market. So if you know where you are in your market, that's great, and you can make sure you're taking account of that. The other thing you can do is update your competition set. So if I click on comp set, that's what that basically means. It will then work out the statistics for my comp set. So overall, the comp set has a 57% occupancy rate. So my competition is 57% occupied. A £248 daily rate. They're making about 34,000 a year in revenue on average, and the score, so this is how close my competition set is to me, is an average of 92. So they're 92% the same as me. The great thing you can also do here though is you can switch things on and off, and you'll see that I've taken the tick out of the box here because I know this property. It's just down the road. It was only refurbished 2 years ago. It's really high end. It's got hot tubs, and Two Brick Ground doesn't have a hot tub. It's got all ensuite bedrooms. So I know it's a bit out of our league. That is kind of highlighted by the average daily rate of £471. And so I don't want to compare myself to that property because I know that that's totally unrealistic. So that's the great thing about the comp set, is you can fine tune it by turning off properties that you know you can't compete with. If I put that back into the comp set, so if I tick that box, and save my comp list, you can see that average daily rate has gone up. So that's basically how AirDNA works, and how you can use the AirDNA data for free to check out the rates in your area and get a real handle on what the possible rates are that you can charge for your property over time. Thank you.